Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a monumental shift in the world of XRP. For what felt like an eternity, a huge legal storm was raging between its parent company, Ripple, and the SEC. But guess what? That case is now officially closed. So the big question is, what happens now? Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the core problem this whole legal mess created for anyone holding XRP. Then we'll walk through the 5-year legal saga itself, cover the game-changing verdict, and then explore two massive opportunities that have just opened up. One for the big Wall Street players, and one for individual investors like you and me. All right, first up, let's set the stage with the classic dilemma that has haunted XRP holders for years. You know the feeling, right? When you've got an asset with these wild price swings, you're stuck in a really tough spot. You're scared to sell because you might miss a huge pump, but just holding on doesn't feel very secure either. It's this constant state of, what do I do? And with XRP, this crazy volatility wasn't just random market noise. No, it was fueled by this massive, dark cloud of legal uncertainty. And that didn't just scare off everyday investors, it kept the really big money, the institutional players, far, far away. But where did this cloud come from? Well, it all goes back to one high-stakes legal showdown. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this legal battle played out over nearly 5 years, casting a long, long shadow over the entire XRP market. The whole thing kicked off way back in December 2020. That's when the SEC first dropped the lawsuit. We got a huge, pivotal moment in July 2023 with a split ruling. But the fight wasn't really truly over until just recently, when all the appeals were finally thrown out and the case was slammed shut for good. And make no mistake, this was an unbelievably expensive fight. Just look at this number. We're talking more than $100 million, and that was just for Ripple's legal defense. That just goes to show you the insane scale and stakes of this whole thing. So what was the big deal? Well, the SEC's whole argument boiled down to one thing. They claimed XRP was an unregistered security. Their accusation was that Ripple had illegally raised $1.3 billion. If the SEC had won, it would have totally changed the game for how XRP could be bought and sold in the US. All right, so after all that fighting, we finally get to the main event, the court's final decision. And this provided the clarity the market had been desperate for. It all came down to this one incredibly powerful sentence from Judge Annalisa Torres. XRP itself is not a security. And what's so important is that this key part of her original 2023 ruling was left completely intact. This confirmed that when you or I buy XRP on an exchange, it's not a securities transaction. This was the fundamental win the entire XRP community was praying for. Now, to officially put this whole thing to bed, Ripple agreed to a final settlement. They wrote one last check for $125 million, and just like that, the long, expensive war with the SEC was officially over. And this quote from a well-known crypto lawyer, John Deaton, really just says it all, doesn't it? It wasn't just a legal victory. You could feel this massive wave of relief wash over the entire industry. The case from hell was finally over. In the second that legal fog cleared, wow, the impact was immediate and pretty incredible to watch. The big money players who had been sitting on the sidelines, they didn't just walk, they sprinted. I mean, just look at this list. This wasn't a week later or a month later. This was on the very same day the case was dismissed. You had 7 major asset managers. We're talking giants like Grayscale and Franklin Templeton, all rushing to file for a spot XRP ETF. An ETF is basically a way for people to invest in something like XRP through the regular stock market. And this was Wall Street kicking down the door to get a piece of the auction. The change was like night and day. Before the ruling, the chance of a US-based XRP ETF was zero. Zilch. Nada. After the ruling, it became a full-blown sprint, with 7 huge firms all elbowing each other to be the first one to get approved and launch their product. And of course, the market loved what it was hearing. In just the 24 hours after the news broke, XRP's price shot up almost 7%. It jumped from around $2.90 to over $3. That right there is a clear vote of confidence from investors. Okay, so that's the big Wall Street story. But this isn't just about institutions. This newfound clarity is also opening up completely new strategies for individual investors, for people who want to do more than just hodl and hope for the best. So here's one new idea that's been popping up. Instead of just letting your XRP sit in a wallet collecting digital dust, what if you could actually put it to work? The concept is to use your XRP to buy things like cloud computing contracts, which could potentially turn that volatile asset into a source of daily cash flow. And the way these things usually work is designed to be pretty simple. You'd sign up on a platform, pick a contract you like, and pay for it with your XRP. From there, the service handles all the complicated stuff on the back end to put your capital to work, and then you start getting daily returns paid back to you in XRP. Now, of course, if you're ever looking into a strategy like this, there are a few key things you'd probably want to check out, right? You'd want to look at a platform's track record and fundamentals, things like being properly registered, having strong security, a big global user base, and even a focus on using green energy can all be good signs of a solid operation. So, at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. The end of this SEC lawsuit has unlocked completely new ways to engage with XRP. For the big institutions, the door to Wall Street products like ETFs is now wide open. And for individual investors, there's finally the clarity to explore new strategies to make your assets work for you. The era of legal uncertainty is over, and a brand new chapter for XRP has just begun. And all of this leaves us with one final fascinating question. For 5 long years, this legal battle was the single biggest anchor holding XRP back. Now that it's finally gone, what does the future truly hold for this digital asset?